How's it going, everyone? My name is Thunderthief, and this is the Happy Accidents podcast. I wanted to do something a little different with this album and release a podcast with an episode per song, basically just explaining the process of how it came together and honestly just having some fucking content to put out and promote this thing that hopefully all of you guys like. So I'm starting off with the first track on the album. It's called Fantastic. And what made this song come together was I was just sitting around in my living room one day. One of my favorite things to do is I'll just put a movie on and I'll put it on mute or I'll put it on really low volume and I'll start to just write on a guitar typically, because that's a really easy thing to sit on the couch with and sketch out. So I started with this opening riff. And I don't know how many of you have been listening to what I do and whatnot for quite a while, but one of my favorite bands of all time is Coheed and Cambria. And on almost all of their records, they start off with this really beautiful acoustic song that just kind of introduces you to the record. And as soon as I wrote that riff, I was just like, oh man, I want to put this at the front of the album. Then the second thing you hear alongside with the guitar is these rain sounds. And what I do a lot is I'll take my iPhone and I'll just put on the voice memos app and I'll just record whatever's happening around me. And I happen to be at my older brother's house in Northern California. And it started to rain and there was just all sorts of great textures and sounds. And so I just opened the door and just recorded for a while. And so the rain that you hear out there is just what it sounds like on my brother's patio when it's raining. So after I got that first riff locked in, I started working on the lyrics with one of my longest term friends. His name's David. And him and I just started writing out some ideas about kind of just the way that I like to write and my mentality in general, and just kind of letting things go with the flow and turning lemons into lemonade, etc. Really, I'd been wanting to for years to make this record. Happy Accidents is something that I've been trying to put together in music for 5 years. And I know that my adventure and exploration into music, it's been super different all the time, because I started as a bass player and that was really my first passionate instrument, and nobody really cares about the bass player in a band. So when you come out of that and start to do your own thing, as a bassist, you have to tie into someone else usually. You're always making the drummer melodic, or you're making the guitar player feel percussive, or you're locking in with the vocalist in this magical melodic moment. And one of the things is just you need something else. Bass can't exist on its own all the time. And that's how I feel when I'm writing and whatnot. It's okay, cool, I got the bass. What else is there? And so this whole first part of the song, lyrically, is really influenced by just my personal experience in existence on this planet, and my just perspective in general, in feeling like an observer. And I think a lot of artists, it seems have this same sort of almost a sickness where there's an observational side of you, and then there's an expressive side of you that usually comes out through the art or the making of whatever medium you have. And I honestly feel like it's like the same shit as like Spider-Man or like whatever. Like, it's this great power and there's like this great responsibility, and just like it's stupid as shit to let that ability go to waste, because a lot of people I talk to like are frustrated that they have no outlet, they have no ways and means of expressing themselves. And I feel very fortunate that like for a majority of my life I've never known what that's like, because I found music so early and I've been able to just like let that kind of pass through and shake off a lot of the bullshit, because I have these songs that I wrote, and like that's where all of the emotions of that time and whatnot, that's where it lives. And it's really freeing to just be able to translate like that. So after I got the lyrics worked out with David, I decided that I wanted to have a female vocalist on it. And at the time, I was working a lot with this wonderful vocalist named Janaea, and she'd worked with me on a lot of vocal projects in the past, and I'd released a few songs with her as Thunderthief with her on them, and we just worked a lot together and have a lot of the same music taste, so it was perfect because her voice is just naturally awesome. And getting to start the record with her voice, it means a great deal to me, because her and I have been like up and down in our musical adventures, and like sometimes we're together and sometimes it's worlds apart, but it's always really fun to come back and reconnect. And she has one of my favorite voices of all time and is one of my favorite people to work with in music, and so I was really proud that I got to have her on the first track.
Of the hurricane swirling together in a fury, always growing, transforming everything.
After we got the vocals laid out, I wanted the rest of the instrumentation to be really downplayed and laid back, and I wanted to use as little percussion as possible. Like, I knew that a lot of the other songs, you know, they just had a bunch of stuff in it, and this one I wanted to be as minimal as possible. So the song itself is pretty simple, because I have 2 acoustic guitar riffs and then an electric guitar riff. It's an arpeggio. And then an electric guitar that's playing these chords in the second half. And other than that, I just have a little synth that's underneath that just like is more designed to just provide a bit of a texture and give it a little bit of like a low end oomph, just to kind of push it through. And after I'd put all of that additional accompaniment in there, and I was listening to Janaea's vocals recorded back, I thought to myself, like, I felt like there was so much of my voice coming out through the words, and it felt like I needed to sort of say them myself. And so the second voice on this track is me.
Child of the unknown, dark clouds billow and they roam. Lightning pouring down, electrifying hollow bones.
And I spent like 2 months, because I hate my voice, singing against Janaea's recorded vocals and trying to figure out the harmony that I liked with it, and without being too self-critical. Like, it's really hard for me to feel good about how my voice feels. Like, this podcast is even something hard, because as I'm listening to it, it's like, man, your voice is like not the best, but it's what I got. And so I wanted to overcome that sort of fear and self-criticism of like, your voice sucks, like you shouldn't have it in the foreground at all. And I really like took this opportunity to just kind of buckle in and like do something that I liked enough, and is strong enough. Like, I believe in my singing performance, and as a means of just being honest and open about what's being sung. And really, it's like, this is a confessional about like this record. Like, the chorus that hooks is,
we stumble and we trip into happy accidents. We will guide them supersonic.
and the whole meaning behind those words is like, life just comes and you need to do whatever you can to just like roll with the punches and honestly accept what you have and where you are, because it's everything you need to move forward. You just got to figure out how to use it. And at the time that I'm recording this, which is January 15th, 2020, my album comes out in 2 days, and this record has been a 5, maybe even 6-year journey of figuring out who I am in like the audio world, and showing people just what my ideas can be. And I got to work with so many incredible people on this record, and the experiences that I had putting it together, like, you can't replace those. There's nothing better than making something you're proud of and having people around you that inspire you to do better. And I'm really grateful for that. So this is the first song on my album Happy Accidents, called Fantastic.
I can feel it all around
persistent, never ending, packing so